Hey, so today I'm going to talk about the reasons in my little brown bag that I feel that learning history is so important and the reasons why I enjoyed learning history. So the first thing that I wrote down about the importance of history are resources or the environment. Resources play a major role in history. The main reason for coming over here and just looking for new land was in search of gold. And then once they found the gold, they found all these other spectacular and just important resources, just like food that wasn't normal to where they were from, or in materials that were normal to where they were from as well, that they were later used to create clothing and to create so many other things. So I feel that resources are just really important, and that students need to understand that they do play a major role in history, and that because of history we can see ways in which we should probably be using them, and then ways in which we should probably not be using them. So that's my first reason. My next reason is one of my favorite reasons, are the people in history. Without this course, people wouldn't know about our first president or about people that made great change and that influenced nations. So I believe that they need to understand the people of history. And this is, again, like I said, one of my favorite parts of history, because I like to learn about, these historical figures, and just like we discussed this week, Pocahontas, all these interesting stories and how they were so important, and the reasons why we need to learn about them are also so important. So the people are one of my reasons in which we should continue history and why students need to understand the people. Next reason in my little brown bag, culture. So just like people are important, culture is also important in history. We learn about culture, and we still learn about culture today. And through culture, we learn about all these amazing things. We learn about food. We learn about ceremonies and just things that people do that are so special to certain cultures that we don't see in other cultures. So I believe that students need to learn about this. They need to be aware, culturally aware, and they can't just think that the way we live is the only way to live or the only way that people live. So through history lessons, we see that culture is something that is so significant, and we see that it's something that is so different and varied throughout our world. And throughout history, we see how cultures change and how cultures influence other cultures. So this is another one of my favorite reasons to have history. Next reason, language. So I believe that people, culture, and language, they all connect, because there are people in cultures, and in different cultures, you see a lot of different languages. So through history, we learn the importance of language and how at first people that met each other, sometimes they had issues due to language. They struggled to connect or to learn about each other because of the language difference. So in history, we see just how language plays an impact and how it is changed over time, and we learn that each area has a special language to it. So this is another one of my favorite reasons to learn history, language. Another reason, strength. So I think that by learning about people in history, we learn things that could have been done better, and we see things that were done the best, if that makes sense. So strength, and that might not make sense, but I think that through learning history, students gain this sense of strength. They gain motivation and encouragement to see that things can change, and even if things were bad at one point, there were people or there were acts that changed them, and there were people that weren't afraid to be bold during certain parts of history, and they made a great change. And with that boldness comes strength. So I believe that students take away a form of strength or bravery through learning history from the people of history. So that's another reason. And then my last reason, which I feel like could tie along with strength, is identity. And this is discussed in one of our papers as well. You gain a sense of identity through history. Maybe learning about the history of where you are from, you gain this sense of, this is who I am, this is where I grew up, and so that's what I identify with. So identity is just a major takeaway or something that is gained through the learning of history. And so I think it's important to have correct lessons in history, history lessons that actually give the learner, it helps them learn. I just got so tongue twisted. But identity is something that can be taken away from history lessons. Students that learn, watching movies can be amazing, but it's important to have a lesson that gives them the correct details. You know, you don't want it to misguide them, so they gain a sense of identity. So those are my reasons and my purposes and why I feel that learning history is so important. And like I said, history is one of my favorite subjects, so I love to learn about history and see how we've changed so much or how we've stayed the same as well. So those are just my reasons. I hope that you enjoyed. Bye. And also, my name's Bianca. I didn't say that, but you know, my name's on the bag, so bye.